going to read is a dramatic monologue. So the speaker of this poem is not me. It's actually a 16-year-old girl in southeast Louisiana, where I'm from. She works part-time in a fast food joint, and she's going to tell you all about the time that she played the Virgin Mary in the Easter play. This is called Good Friday. So, I'd leave an hour early from salting fries, fly to rehearsal, throw on a wig that tickled like spider webs and almost made me cry, to answer to another name than mine. 2 hours every night, my name was Mary, and I had brung up God as my own son. We twiddled thumbs as Jesus fudged his lines, forgot our own, missed cues, sneezed, stopped, and those burlap robes, they were torture on the skin. Still, no one suffered half as much as Earl. God bless his heart. Earl had the kissing part. I bet he burned to give that silver back. When you see Jimmy Wayne, you don't think Jesus. Not with those ears as big as open umbrellas, that nose as bloated as a summer squash. But something in his stupid grin said, love, I guess. And in the end, he worked out fine. By the last rehearsal, saying our goodnights, he so looked the part, I couldn't call him Jim. This town ain't never held a multitude. The pews of First Baptist nearly burst, with every face I'd ever seen, and more, all watching us pretend. I squinted through the blinding lights at everyone in the dark who dreamed with me my son died on a cross. And for my son, they wept real salt with me. Thank you. So I have another monologue. This time the speaker is, I don't know, he's probably in his mid-40s. He's a janitor at the local middle school. For some reason, he's taken it upon himself to tell one of the students who's, 11, 12, all about sex. It's called The School Custodian on the Birds and the Bees. I'd say consult your biology book, but textbooks never cover looks exchanged across the lunchroom table. The language is too clinical. No boy meets girl, just sperm meets egg. I guess by now you've discovered legs, as if they were a phenomenon never before stumbled upon. This doesn't make you Ponce de Leon. You're just a part of an old pattern. Everyone sees, but no one learns in time to do them any good. You know, some things I've never understood. How certain men among us choose, as in a game of duck, goose, a random gal, and marry her. They practice on a terrier, then work at rearing a real kid. Soon, the marriage is on the skids. They send their ingrate brat through college, then call it quits at middle age, with a dead dog and double mortgage. See how a woman yearns for the prince that Disney promised her, convinces herself he lives next door, poor guy. He only wanted to get by unscathed in life, but now he lives with royalty who won't forgive his falling short of her ideal. They bicker over every meal. They're just a part of the old pattern everyone sees but no one learns. Myself, I never met their doom. I never had to share my room. I've circled all the small round earth, found only once a woman worth a second date. But she belonged to a man who bought her silk sarongs and threw rose petals at her feet. My one brown penny could scarce compete. It hurt to lose her years ago. Hurts even now to know the blessed infinities we share are lost to that hot hemisphere I left behind when love left me. That's when I first began to see. We're all a part of an old pattern. Unlike the others I have learned. Do you and I and everything that crawls the earth amount to nothing but head-on collisions of egg and sperm, an accident of germ on germ? I'd rather say our hearts are fish in a Sargasso sea that thrash, To lure the bigger fish we pray will swallow us and do away with all this floating in the deep that's so dark, dawn wakes us to new sleep. For we can never close our eyes to the cold and dark that paralyze. For lids would only lid the black with black and magnify our lack of wherewithal to merely move. Welcome annihilation. That's love. So this next poem is when I was growing up, my dad had this stone wheel hooked up to a motor. You flip a switch and the wheel spins and you can sharpen blades on it. I used to watch him for hours and somehow I got a poem out of it. This is called Sparkles from the Wheel. I lost sight of the hour. Evenings, watching him hone blades on the spinning stone. Here is the cord of power. Here, the belt that turned with such incredible speed to make hot metal bleed a rain of stars that burned, screeching like pigs, and died, becoming a kind of snow. As I was burning to know how fire got trapped inside the gleaming edge of a blade, it gave a sermon in ash, the savorless fruit of a clash, how sparkles were unmade. I watched a pregnant dune grow at my father's feet, gray desert of dust at his feet that said we were going soon. And so for this next one, I lived a couple of years in Brazil, teaching English, trying to learn Portuguese, and I got a lot of material out of messing up Portuguese and just trying to acquire the vocabulary. The people there are actually very nice. As long as I could put together a couple of words, they helped me out. And when you study a language, you kind of notice these strange coincidences. That's what this poem is about. It's called Sonhos. I am learning to speak a language in which the word for donut is also the word for dream. You can buy the best in the city at the bakery down the block from the school where I teach a language whose dreams are as appetizing as machine parts. Here, they are filled with doce de leite and dusted with a snow globe's worth of confectioner's sugar. This recurring dessert draws me every week in a sleepwalk of routine. As my teeth stamp the dough with industrial precision, I think of how I am married to someone whose dreams hold meaning, some wise counsel from within. I wish I could believe. I wake each morning unadvised, disappointed that I did not inherit that vineyard in Provence, that a cruel word I spoke years ago still resounds. Louder now. My dreams are killing me with sugar and cholesterol, such exquisite poison. But I would die without those less preferable, that awaken the conscience and bestow estates I can't keep. The dark eyes, necessary seizure that satisfies a strange hunger. Fittingly enough, it's Bastille Day, middle of summer. This poem's called Summer. Actually, it has nothing to do with French culture. I don't know why I brought that up, but anyway. Summer. From his blue tower, an unhappy analyst looks down upon happy children, skipping in the liquid argyle of the fountain's jets of water. From his blue tower, he looks down on them. But when their necks crane upward, they only see a cloud menagerie, the startling blue welkin reflected in the glass of his tower, and sun flashing off hot steel. And sort of keeping with the theme of childhood and summer and all that fun stuff, I have a poem called Toys. It's, I don't know, damselflies, they're kind of like dragonflies. And the really cool thing about them is they're like love bugs down south. They mate while they're flying, or at least from what I've observed, they have. I might be making that up, who knows. So I was out one time floating in a lake and saw that, and eventually it made its way into a poem. This is called Toys. A boy is breaking, mating damselflies apart. The hair-thin legs struggle against fingers. Ripping mate from mate, he learns nothing of lovemaking mid-air, or what brought iridescence to descend upon his finger puckered in pond water. He chances to glance through window panes of a mullioned wing. And what does he see but a room full of toys? Soft animals he will never touch, never make speak in the sing-song of his play tongue, never to make them his own. And the invisible fish, kissing the tips of his toes, fail to console. He will keep the toys only in the memory of this instant. It will remain an ache the world rubs as it moves him. A piece on a board. He is the world's toy now. Going where taken, staying where put down. Here a boy, there a man. Everywhere mourning, those button eyes. Eyes that were not made to see. And I'm a really terrible dancer. That's actually how I convinced my wife to date me when we first met. She took me out to a club, and my dancing was so terrible, she said later she kissed me so that I would stop. So it's really odd for me to write a poem about dancing. This is called Waltz. We dance, not looking where we put our feet, kicking up dust, waltzing to no music. No music is needed. Our hands together, the inside of my wrist on your waist, your dress. Mayflies dizzy the air over tall grass. The dry, colorless grass our feet trample. A meadow where an ancestor's scythe left the hay, and where the enemy planted mines that will kill us. We know what we know, dancing, and we dance knowing. Thank you.